All right, now that you have your data, what you are going to do next is you're going to need to open up the app that we're going to be using to do our calculations. So we're going to be using an app called ClassKick, and ClassKick has a symbol that looks something like a big green hand or a green background with a white hand on the background. This app should already be installed on your iPad. So you can just click to open that app, and when you do, it will bring you to a screen that looks not quite, but pretty similar to this. You'll notice it'll have a spot for you to put in something, and it has two buttons. One says login and one says sign up. I'm actually going to have you completely ignore that text box. Don't put anything in there. Instead, you are going to hit log in because you already have an account. So you're going to hit login, and again, you're going to completely ignore the text boxes. Don't put anything in them. Instead, you are going to click continue with Google, and you are going to sign in using your school email address. So here I have a fake student address that I'm going to use to sign in. And it will take you to a screen that looks more or less like this. And here you should see this activity, Animal Crossing, distance, time, and velocity practice. And if you click on that activity, it will bring you to ClassKick. We're going to be using ClassKick a lot this year. ClassKick is very handy because as soon as you start working in ClassKick, I can see everything you're doing, which means I can give you feedback on your work as you are doing it. So the first slide in ClassKick is usually going to be instructions. You can say, first it says, make sure you've watched this video, and I'll have a link there for you in just a moment. So that video, hopefully you will already have seen since you're watching it right now. So you're going to go out in search of 3 animals, and remember, you can use pets, you can use siblings, you can use spiders, you can use ants, even yourself, anything you like. And for each animal, you're going to record the time it takes to cross a specific distance. So measure that distance, measure that time. So for my example with Sarah, she traveled 87 centimeters, and it took her 5.45 seconds. Once you have your data, you can move on to this slide. So here are a few things to note about ClassKick. If you see these boxes, you can click on those boxes and you can type in text. Oftentimes that's faster than trying to draw with this pencil tool. You can also draw with a pencil tool, but it's much, much, much slower. So you'd probably rather be in select mode and click on a box. So first it's asking you, click on the boxes to fill in the animal you've measured, the distance they traveled in meters, and the time it took them in seconds. So Sarah traveled a distance of 87 centimeters, but I want this distance in meters. So I will divide by 100. 87 divided by 100 is 0.87. M is the abbreviation for meters. And that took her 5.45 S for seconds. Now you can see the next step is going to be to fill the distance and time into the formula. So the formula for velocity is that velocity is distance divided by time. So now I'm going to take that formula and I'm going to put the numbers in instead of those letters. So instead of putting in the letter D for distance, I'm going to put in the actual distance, which was 0.87 meters. Instead of putting in a T for time, I'm going to put in that time, which was 5.45 S for seconds. Then I'm going to pull out a calculator and I'm going to solve that math problem. So 0.87 divided by 5.45 will tell me that velocity. Use a calculator here. I don't need to see you do long division. I promise. I don't care about long division. Just use a calculator to get those numbers. So if I go to Google, I can pretty quickly get a calculator. And I can go, maybe I'll just type in some numbers and it'll pop up. 0.87 divided by 5.45 seconds. And it'll tell me the answer is 0.159. Now, I only measured my distance to 2 decimal points because I said 87 centimeters, so I'm only going to actually give this to 2 decimal points. So I'm going to round that really long number to 0.16. So my velocity is 0.16, and then my units, I started with a distance in meters, and I divided by a time in seconds, so my unit is meters per second. So Sero can travel 0.16 meters per second. What that means is that every second that goes by, she's traveling 16 centimeters. So that's the first part, figuring out your velocities. You're going to do that for all three animals. The next part is I want you to figure out how far each animal would travel in 5 seconds. So if in 1 second, Sero travels 0.16 meters per second, that means, I'm going to use a text box using this little button right here, that after 1 second, she would have traveled 0.16 meters. That makes sense. She's traveling 0.16 meters every second. You can move the text box and things around. So if another second would go past, she'd travel another 0.16 seconds, so then she would be going a total distance of 0.32 meters. It's just another 16 centimeters if she's traveling 16 centimeters every second. So if another second went by, oops, let me move my picture so you can see a little better. If another second went by, she would travel another 16 centimeters. So that would bring us to 0.48 meters. And you can adjust these boxes and move them around. If a fourth second went by, she'd travel another 16 centimeters. So that would bring us to, let's see, 48 plus 16 would be 58, 66, so 0.64 meters. And then if she were to travel one more second, that would bring us to a total distance traveled of 0.80 meters. So in 5 seconds, she would travel about 80 centimeters. And that makes sense, right? In 5.45 seconds, she traveled 87 centimeters. So in 5 seconds, it would make sense for her to have traveled almost that distance. So these are the parts that you're going to do. Once you've done your first animal, you will just click over to the next slide, and you will complete the next animal. So you can move from one slide to the next, and there are options to do that. A few other things I wanted you to be aware of in Classkick. The big thing is over in the corner, right over here, there is this hand icon. That hand icon is super important because if you click on it, you can say, please help or please check. And that basically summons me. It lets me know that you want me to check your work. So if you complete a problem, go ahead and be like, please check. And what that does is it lets me know that you are available to, that I can come check this and I can see if you got it right and give you some feedback on what you can do better. If you are not sure how to proceed, then instead of clicking that please check button, you can click please help. And that will let me know that you need me to come help. And I will actually come to this slide. I can see everything that you have written on this slide as you're doing it, and I can tell you exactly what you need to do to improve it. You also have a little chat box here. So let's say you didn't understand what you're supposed to do to get to 5 seconds. You can say, Hannah, how do I figure out how far Sero has traveled in 5 seconds? And I can actually see that message. I come here, I can respond to it in the app. So Classkick is going to be a tool that we use a lot. After every slide on this, I do want you to select please check so that I will come and check your work. And you'll know that I've seen it and that you're totally good if there's a gold star on it. So I will come stick like stickers and things on these apps as you go. So that is your assignment for the day. You are going to go and observe 3 different animals. You're going to measure the time it takes them to travel a specific distance. You're going to open up Classkick. go to the Animal Crossing distance, time, and velocity practice, and you're going to do 3 velocity problems on this class kick. Remember that after you solve each problem, you can say, please check, by going to that hand in the corner and selecting please check. And if you need help, you can go to the hand in the corner and select please help. Some other things you should be aware of. If you need to take a picture, you can actually take a picture of something using this add image button. If you want to leave me a voice memo, you can click this add audio button and leave me a voice memo. If you need to link to something, you can do that. You can use this add text box if you want to add text anywhere. You can erase things. You can highlight things if you're like, oh, this is the really important part. You can highlight stuff. You can draw. Let's say I needed to draw a little bird here just to make it very clear. This is a terrible bird. There we go, there's Sero. And that's how you use ClassKick. So good luck and enjoy the assignment.